What is up, you guys? It's Monty, and today I am here with my October TBR. Before I get into this video, I just wanted to say thank you for watching my last video, my tag. I was expecting a lot of pushback or hate on that video, and there hasn't been any. So either my opinions aren't as controversial as I thought they were, or like that's the only option. So I'm gonna reevaluate that, but that's not what we're here for. We're here also hello to all the new subscribers. I was expecting to like lose subscribers from that video, and I gained some. So hello to all of you. I am happy that you're here for whatever reason. This is what I'm going to be reading in the month of October, so feel free down in the comments to let me know if you've read any of these. If you're also going to read some of these, a couple of these I think are like October-y reads. I didn't go out of my way to read anything spooky. But the month of September, as you'll see in my wrap-up, that'll probably go up Monday-ish, depending on if I get a lot read this weekend, who knows. Going up early next week. I spent the month of September reading a lot of contemporary or less fantastical things, and so for the month of October I really wanted to get back. I say get back. Fantasy is a genre that I've kind of stepped away from, but I do have some on my shelf. And so I wanted to get into that. Before I forget, I wanted to talk about two books that are technically at the library waiting for me to pick them up, but I haven't gone to grab them yet. The first of those is Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. I am that person. I read Carry On last year. I'll leave a link up in the cards to that discussion. I was not the world's biggest fan of that. I know that it's meant to be a fanfiction-y take on like a Harry Draco situation. And I did think that the magic system was clever-ish. But I read Carry On, like I said, up in the cards, and I was not the world's biggest fan. I didn't find the Baz-Simon relationship to be aspirational or even just like a quality depiction of a male-male romance. That said, I am curious. I am very curious to see how this plays out. So I got it from the library, and we're gonna read it. We're gonna read it. And then I also picked up Batman: The Long Halloween by Jeff Loeb. He was the main story person on this. I don't have access. I mean, I could go on Goodreads to get like the illustrator and things who also worked on the comic, but Batman: The Long Halloween. I have always been a fan of Batman comics, I say, as I never finished Scott Snyder's run, and his was the only run that I really read, and I wanted at least one graphic novel. So those are the two that I don't have with me. And now we can talk about the books that... Most of these are books that I own. I have two other library books I'm going to talk about in a little bit, but let's get into it. The first book is actually the Trashback Book Club pick for the month of October. I was hoping this would win because I own it, but even if it didn't win, this is what I was going to read this month anyway, and that is Beautiful Creatures by Kami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I actually read this back in, I want to say 2012-ish. It was the same time that City of Heavenly Fire was coming out, because I read this around the same time that I reread Shadowhunters years ago. And I remember really enjoying this, and I remember having a really fun time reading it. I don't know if I gave it... I think I know I at least gave it 3 stars. I might have given it more, I don't know, don't quote me on that, but I'm excited to pick this up. I grabbed this from the Goodwill, I want to say in like April. I got the entire series at Goodwill. This is the only one that I got in hardback, the other ones are paperback, but I'm hoping that I'll read this and enjoy it, and maybe I'll continue on in the series, but who knows. The next book on my TBR is actually an Owl Crate edition. I think this came in the July box, and that is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. All I know about this is that people say it is Project Runway meets Mulan. The next 2 books, actually, are favorites of my dear friend Melanie from Mel to the Any, so shout out to her. Technically I do own the ebook version of this next book, and that is The Bone Witch by Rin Chapeko, and I've only ever heard positive things from Melanie about this, And to be fair, Melanie and I tend to have different opinions on a lot of books. I think that the books that we agree on are probably smaller than the ones that we like the inverse of that sentence. There's not a lot apparently, but I do think that Melody has good taste in books, and so this is, I think, necromancy is involved. I think our main character brings back their brother from the dead, if it's necromancy. And I think our main character is also the villain of this, and it's kind of like a villain origin story. Melanie, if I'm wrong, please correct me and down below. But I think that's what this is, kind of, in its own voices for the Filipino representation, I believe. So yeah. Also, Rin Chapeko is like just a great person to follow on Twitter. 10 out of 10 recommend. So I'm excited to actually read something that they've written. The next book is, like I said, also one of Melanie's favorite reads of the year. I think it was Melanie's favorite read, but I've been watching her contemporary vlogs, and I think Birthday is like fighting for it. Like Birthday might be Melanie's favorite book of the year now. But again, Melanie, you can correct me down in the comments. But that is Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. This one is kind of divisive. I know that Rhiannon over at Crescent Moon Reads really enjoyed this book. They have a tattoo, like they are all here for it. Again, Melanie really liked it. There are some other people in the community that I don't want to say close with, but I follow them, and they didn't love it as much as everyone else. So I don't know where I'm going to fall on this one. Again, I think necromancy is a thing, so I really have no fucking idea what I'm getting into by reading this, but necromancy in space. So we'll see how it goes. The next one on my list is also a friend favorite, and I am really happy to finally be getting to this one because Heather has been caping for this book since fucking May. Probably before May. Definitely before May, like early April. All year, pretty much. Heather has been caping for House of Salt and Sorrows by Aaron A. Craig. This came in the August Owl Crate. I didn't do unboxings. I'm sorry, like I didn't unbox, so I don't, but I'm pretty sure this was the August pick. And yeah, so I'm gonna be reading this one. I think it's technically set in a fantasy kingdom. When I was reading I read the first 25 pages, I want to say maybe in August, because I definitely didn't pick it up in September. And I liked it, but I didn't really get fantasy vibes from it. I just kind of got like old-timey vibes. So I don't know if like the fantasy aspects is actually really important to this story, or if that's just like a fun side thing. But I'll let you know, because this is on the list to be. I think this is probably the spookiest book that I have on my TBR. Just in the the first 25 pages, I got some like really atmosphericness from it. Beautiful Creatures back there has like some kind of Southern Gothic attempts, but this one might be the most atmospheric read of the month. The next book is a book that I've technically read before. This is a reread, another reread. But we're doing it. It's going on. This is probably the third time just in 2019 I've had this book on a TBR. But I am determined to finish this series, okay? I don't know how or when it's going to play out, but I'm determined to finish this series. I'm just determined. And that is City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. This is the fourth book in the Mortal Instruments series. What I like to call this trilogy is the fan service trilogy. I read City of Fallen Angels and City of Lost Souls back again, like I was talking about when I read Beautiful Creatures that same time period. And I was not a fan of these two books. I was not a fan of Fallen Angels, and I was not a fan of Lost Souls. But what I've found in my pre-read, so City of Bones, Ashes, and Glass, I read all three of those earlier this year. I'm so much more of a fan of them than I remember being, and I had to go on Goodreads and correct. I reviewed them. I gave them new star ratings because a bitch was wrong. Okay, like I don't know. So maybe I'll like this one. I don't know. I'm going in with an open mind. But again, I want to get through this series. I'm hoping to read Fallen Angels this month, Lost Souls next month, Heavenly Fire for the first time in December, and then maybe get through the Infernal Devices the first 3 months of the next year. So I'm ready to go for Chain of Gold. I mean, technically I've already read the Infernal Devices. So I think, in theory, I'm ready to just go to Chain of Gold, but I want to be completely done with Cassandra Clare. I want to get there, so maybe this will happen. The next book on my TBR is another Goodwill pick. And a bitch was dumb, and I thought that this book was actually the Trashback Book Club book for next month, before I realized it was the Trashback Book Club book for this month, and that was Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead. So I own the first 4. I think I got the first 4 of these at, again, Goodwill. The sticker's still on it because I haven't. For a long time, these didn't even have a spot on my shelf. They were just kind of sitting in a plastic bag next to my shelf. And every time I looked at them, I was like, I feel kind of bad. Like, I could at least put the bag on top of the shelf, but I didn't even do that. So they are on the shelf now. They have a home. They are shelved. But I'm hoping to get to this one, and then I'll probably go back and watch that live stream, because I do actually plan on reading this one, unlike in past months. The last book on my TBR is Dead Until Dark by Charlaine Harris. Again, this is a reread. This is the first book in the Sookie Stackhouse series, as you can tell by the sticker. I think this is the first one. When I went to read the first chapter, it sounded like it was the first one. It doesn't matter because I do own all of these. I have read the first 3. So this, like I was just saying, this is a reread. First book in the True Blood series, Sookie Stackhouse series. This is like a paranormal adult romance series, I think. Could be wrong. From what I remember in the first 3, there was a bunch of sex, and a lot of it was happening at times where I was like, why are you fucking? Like, why is this the time to be fucking? But, yeah, this one. Looking forward to rereading it, because I do remember liking the first 3, so I'm hoping that hasn't changed, and again, I'm hoping this will be something that I can just kind of fly through. So that is what I have planned to read in the month of October. Let me know what you plan to read down in the comment section below. If you've read any of these, share your thoughts down there. And I'll see you again on my next video. But until then, bye.